Aloha, everybody, and welcome to the Joystick Show. Tonight we have an action-packed one for you. There was a ton of Marvel news with some other fun stuff in there. We had some really cool trailers drop, and we have some reviews on some things that were really fantastic, and one thing that was not at all. We had a little bit of technical difficulties towards the end, but there's still a ton of fun stuff for you in this one, so please enjoy this episode.
The Joystick Show.
How's it, Schticklers? The Joystick Show is back to talk story about things we've read, watched, or played. Shakas and Mahalas for sticking around. If you fancy what you hear, please like and subscribe on the platform you frequent. I'm your co-host Drake, and that's Thomas.
What up, what up?
And we are missing our third brother, Scott, because he's doing God's work and saving lives one prescription at a time, because he is a
Drug man.
Heyo. He's a philanthropist or no, a pharmacist? Same thing?
Yeah. Depends on how much he gives back to charity. But
He's charitable with those drugs. Don't tell his boss.
This is a comedy.
Yeah, it's a comedy. It's not real. Sorry, Scott. Love you. But tonight we've got obviously some news, trailers, and reviews. Some of the news we'll be talking about: Helldivers 2, Fantastic Four V-Day casting, Invincible Part 2, Respawn is developing a first-person Mandalorian game, Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender coming out Thursday, and then
that's the news for that one.
Yeah, that's the news for that one, dude. It's the best.
That's it. It goes out this Thursday.
It just comes out this Thursday. I mean, we'll make it sound cooler than it already is.
We'll expand, yes.
We'll expand. Some trailers we got: X-Men 97, Civil War, and Borderlands. And with our reviews, we'll talk about House of Ninjas, True Detective Night Country, and of course, the number one top-selling blockbuster hit, Madam Web.
Yeah. Guaranteed to make $1 trillion.
Yes, at least $1 trillion.
Wait. Let me rephrase that. 1 trillion rubies.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
1 trillion rubies. Yeah.
1 trillion Thai baht, which is like $22.
Yeah. That's probably all it's gonna make. I don't know. I'm surprised. I think I saw it made like $25 million, but yeah, we'll get into it.
All right. Well, I know we all kind of talked about getting Helldivers 2 to play as a group, as the joystick group, but you recently got it. Can you give us a little preview?
Totally. So yeah, I've been playing Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, and then finished that.
Oh, wow.
Kind of done. You can keep building your level, but there's not much to do, and it's a fun game with friends. Now jumping into Helldivers 2, I could see why it's just fun. And also seems like it would be better with friends. Now, the reason why I bring up Suicide Squad is because they're both third-person shooters. Obviously, one is based off these comic book characters. The other one is kind of based off this fake world. But also, like, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's been a lot of comparisons to Starship Troopers.
Yep, I've seen those. Yep.
Yeah, it's like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so funny. There's definitely like they give you the big propaganda speech like fight for democracy now, and only you can be the savior of new Super Earth kind of thing.
Super Earth.
Yeah, it's like this. Looks like Earth, but maybe just bigger. I don't know.
More super.
But yeah, more supers. But it's pretty fun from the start. I'm super early on. I'm only like a half an hour into the game. Literally, I got it today before recording.
Yeah.
It is cool. Like if you want to be accurate, you have to get prone. So like you can't just it's not like quite like a running gunner where Kill the Justice League is more of like you can just run around, you jump, you're like doing ridiculous acrobatics in the air. That is like a lot of position, where this seems like it's the thinking man's shooter. So it's not just about position. It's about like you also have to get into a position where you can aim correctly. The different weapons you have. And also I can see why this would be really fun with a team.
Yeah. I know as a group with you, myself, Kobe, and Scott, I think the thing that we've played the most 4-player co-op was World War Z. Is this anything like that by chance?
Yeah. Great comparison. So it's like World War Z in a sense, except for that was kind of linear. Like you're kind of open in the areas you're in, but it kind of like directs you towards a goal or to like a final place. Where this feels like it's super open. So the way they do their map is unique. You have to press a center button, and I'm playing on PlayStation 5, but you hit the center button and then you can kind of put using the D-pad, you can put where your marker is, and then like you can kind of explore a little bit, and then from there, like it's almost semi open world, and then there's objectives, and so like you can decide which objective to go to first or whatnot, but then there's things you can discover, and there's that side of it, but it's easy, maybe like World War Z where it is kind of easy to get killed. But also, like, I could see if I was playing with you, for example, and we're coming up on an enemy stronghold, I could tell you, hey, come in from the left side. I'm going to come in from the bottom over here. And then we use our zoom and you're like, see, there's this person over here. We're going to drop a turret this way, and we're going to try to funnel everybody towards you and then pick them off.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot of strategy that will go into this.
Tactical.
And like you talked about Game Ranks did a review on it. The before you buy. And I agree that it seems like there is a lot of team strategy that will come into play with the game.
Man, that's what's up. I feel like I think there was a recent IGN review of it, and then rando YouTube individuals are reviewing it, and it's been getting a lot of positive reviews. So I guess we're looking forward to playing that together as a group.
Totally. The last thing I'll say about it is there's been a few things right off the bat. So one of the things that's been going wild with this game is how you die, or like how you can die. And right off the bat, drop in the mission, finally select it, figure out how to do it, which it's not very explained well or intuitive, but you figure it out. It's not too complicated. But you drop down, and I saw these little like bubble things. They kind of look like maybe like insect eggs that you might see in like Alien or something, but they look like steaming pots. So I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna shoot it. Like you shoot everything, right? Like when you play a new game. I shot it pretty close, exploded, flew across the map, and it's like a rag doll. So you're just like just flopping through the air, and I flew like 25 feet and instantly got what do you call, like an achievement. Right off the bat, it was like, look at me, and then it was like ... kind of thing, and I was like, oh shit, okay, this is one of these kind of games where everything can kill you. So
that's
something
exciting.
else to think about.
That's exciting. Helldivers 2 for those of you. Well, something that if you add 2 + 2, it's 4, and 4 can be fantastic. Fantastic Four, V-Day casting. How are we? I mean, we're good to go on the cast situation. We know about the cast completely now, but what about it excites you?
Bravo, right? Bravo. That was, I mean, I said right, but I just meant bravo. Like, that was well done. Damn. I really like this cast, and I don't think there is anything bad. There's not a bad person in this whole group, right? Pedro Pascal on the top of the world, killing it. Was it Vanessa Kirby? She's been in Mission Impossible. She was in, I think, like The Crown or something like that. She's killing it. We have Evan Moss Backrack. He on the Bear, cousin, crushing it. Yeah. Who's the last person? Joseph Quinn, who came from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
They are so good. The only one, and it's not even because I don't like the choice, I just find it interesting. I've been reading quite a few comics lately, and he wouldn't have been my first pick, and yet I still love it, is Pedro Pascal. Can he come across as the smartest man in the world? I don't know, but he's super likable.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do you think about that?
That's gonna be tough. Do you remember Ex Machina?
Yeah.
And that the main
Oscar
scientist guy, Oscar Isaac, he was kind of able to come across as an intelligent individual. where his previous roles and even current roles don't necessarily put him in that like archetype. Pedro Pascal, I think he has enough range to do that, but I think it really depends on the writing. I mean, Josh Friedman, Jeff Kaplan, Ian Springer, they've all helped in the screenplay, so hopefully...
What else have they done?
I believe Josh Friedman has... isn't he one of the main writers of... he's written Avatar, The Way of Water. He's written on Snowpiercer.
Ooh. Okay.
So,
I like both those movies.
Yeah. World of Worlds. I think the OG.
Dude, those are solid. They brought in some heavy hitters. Okay, so I'm happy you said that because this movie cannot fail.
Yeah.
There's been so much heat around Marvel right now.
Yeah.
And the fact that people are saying Marvel sucks, they're out on it, with the Marvels that had just dropped, with, I've heard this conversation come up a lot too, and we're going to talk about Madam Web in a little bit, but people, for the general audience, not everybody knows that Sony Marvel is not Marvel Studios. And, they're like, I don't want to name him, but like, I think my cousin texted me, he's like, man, Marvel's really blowing it. And it's like, that's not, Madam Web is not Marvel Studios. I want to like make a clear division there, but people don't know that. And, I think with the Fantastic Four, for the third reboot, you cannot miss. You have
fuck it up
to,
again. Yeah.
Right? Like you have to do this well. I think that the pieces are in place. Again, kind of going back to the cast, Vanessa Kirby, I think she's a perfect Sue Storm. She looks like Sue Storm. Strong actress. I think she's going to be able to deliver the full range that we need out of her. Evan Moss Backrack, I think he's going to be solid too. I see so much range out of that guy, and still like he kind of feels like that gritty city guy, whether Chicago, New York. Like I feel like he can pull it off. Obviously we already talked about Pedro Pascal, but like Joseph Quinn too. I guess I have I don't have doubt in his acting ability because he's a phenomenal actor, and I think we'll even see it more when A Quiet Place Day 1 comes out. He just looks like he's going to crush it there too. He was a standout by far in the latest season of Stranger Things. But like when I think of Johnny Storm, I don't necessarily think of Chris Evans anymore, but I think of somebody who looks like Chris Evans. You know what I mean? Like super good looking and cocky.
Like a Henry Cavill.
Yeah, but like take Tom Wamsgand's personality and then put it into somebody who looks like Ryan Reynolds. Like Ryan Reynolds without like the snarky remarks. Like just somebody who's truly good looking and like cocky, but you still love them. I don't know. Maybe I'm like maybe Justin Timberlake back in the day.
Oh yeah, like a buff like a JT on roids. Yeah, I would love to see.
Oh man, yeah. I mean JT's pretty ripped. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah, I haven't seen his V cut in a long time, but I was gonna say
I got one.
Yeah,
dude, the lead singer for Maroon 5. That guy.
Yeah, could be a
Adam Levine, I think.
Yeah, Adam Levine. I heard he's. I've heard in other circumstances per other fans that he's not the best, but that's kind of that's kind of Johnny Storm, right? Kind of a bum, or not a bum, but like kind of a butt face sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes just because he thinks he's the shit.
Yeah, he's got a hint of douche, just a douche hint.
There you go, a dash of douche.
Dash of douche. Well, I was gonna say, Kevin Feige is producing it, and so that should make it even better. But then I'm looking at his IMDb, and he's also been the producer or the executive producer of The Incredible Hulk, The Hulk, Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and Fantastic Four: The OG. So,
wait, Kevin Feige?
Yeah, dog.
He's been an executive producer of pretty much everything in the MCU.
Marvel thing. Yeah, so I mean, hopefully, the writing I want to say is gonna be should be substantially better.
Yeah. I think you named some great writers. I also want to shout out the director, Matt Shackman. He's done incredible episodes of stuff. He's done It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. He's done episodes of Game of Thrones, particularly Battle of the Bastards, which is arguably one of the best Game of Thrones episodes. He's done Most famously recently, WandaVision. So he directed all the episodes of WandaVision, and so people love that. I think he's going to knock it out of the park because he seems to understand character. He seems to understand action. I have a lot of faith, I think, in him as well. I guess what I'm most questioning, besides those two actors, which I both think are going to be fantastic, I don't want it to come across that I don't, is that this is going to be set, at least in the beginning, in the 60s.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any thoughts on how they make that connection to modern day? Do you have any thoughts on it being more of a period piece? I don't know. Yeah, what's your take on that?
I think in terms of setting up the characters to bring it that far back makes sense because a lot of the characters or a lot of the Fantastic Four individuals have been in like present day. So maybe it'll help us mentally reset these characters since it's back in the time. And then as they're going through space-time continuum, gamma radiation type situations, maybe that's how they kind of form back into the current MCU space. But it does, from a writing standpoint and from a viewer standpoint, make sense to have it be earlier. Just like how we saw parts of Captain America be like way in the past to kind of establish him and establish his roots. Hopefully this does that for Fantastic Four.
Yeah. And you're right. Like I appreciate you bringing up Captain America. That was my thought with this, where it's like, okay, at some point there was other heroes around. We saw earlier on that like Hank Pym was Ant-Man and he was like bouncing around like Cold War and stuff, and we didn't see that till I think it was like phase 2 or phase 3. So, like there must have been other things going around. I can see them launching, a space-based mission for exploration. You're right. I think using Interstellar as the model, the farther they go out in space, time warps differently. They don't age as much. And yet, our world, time is passing regularly. And then they're like, snap back. I don't know if Kang snaps them back because we're still technically in the multiversal saga.
Maybe Deadpool could, because he has the time warper mobob. That could be interesting.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. Because who knows how Deadpool and Wolverine shake up all this. So for sure. I like that. That's a cool concept.
And isn't Loki getting a season 3 as well too?
That's a hope, but no,
okay.
That's a hope. But none of us really know if Tom Hiddleston's even coming back because as of right, I think he comes back for Secret Wars. Okay. Will he come back for a whole season of something else? I don't know. Yeah. The person who's in charge of Loki season 2 was like, we only wrote it for 2 seasons. Okay. We wrote it so that that story is complete.
Okay.
So
I was like,
at some point,
time stuff. Yeah, time stuff they could do Fantastic Four situation, but if we're moving into like other Kang things and bigger MCU, then I guess that makes sense to kind of leave Loki as it is.
Yeah. The villain though is announced for this movie. I guess should be rumored. Well, I guess it's I said those backwards. I think it's rumored to be Galactus.
Yeah.
And then there is talks that they are also trying to cast Silver Surfer. The number one rumor right now is that they are kind of gender bending the Silver Surfer. So rather it being a guy humanoid, it's looking like it could be Anya Taylor-Joy as their top pick.
I guess I don't mind that, as the Silver Surfer in general could technically be. It is a mantle as much as it is a character. So I can buy that. Also, Anya Taylor-Joy is the bee's knees, and we'd like to see her in all silver. So for me, I'm Galactus is such a huge villain.
Yes, he is.
Literally and figuratively. So when I think about like bad guys in the MCU, right? You have Ultron, and you have what's the Red Skull, Thanos, and then you get Galactus, and then you have to, every time you have to go bigger and bigger and bigger, and Galactus is already one of the biggest, literally and figuratively. Then that leads to, okay, so how much more villains are you going to be able to bring in to up the stakes and make us care? Because we know that they're going to win to a certain degree. So
I think I have an answer. And it's
Okay.
one person that is rumored to be in the movie also.
Dr. Doom?
Yes.
Nailed it.
Dr. Doom. I think Dr. Doom is the end all be all in terms of who the biggest bad of everybody is. I think that's where you bring, if they're going to reset the whole Marvel universe because they want to recast Tony Stark and they want to recast Steve Rogers and do it all over and Tom Holland ages out, so they want a new Spider-Man. I think you go with Dr. Doom, and if you know about Secret Wars, God King Doom, who has all the power, who creates Secret Wars, at least the new Jonathan Hickman run, he's the biggest bad. And I know for a fact we're not getting him in this movie. We are getting him, if anything, in like a touch at the end of this movie. And that will be the biggest hype train. That is my number one villain of all time. He has the dopest story. He has the craziest motivation. He has the craziest struggle, the craziest like backstory. I mean, he has Latveria, which is basically like a Wakanda, but not technological, but also like he has his own like fighting force and army. Yeah. And there's just so much they can do with Dr. Doom.
He's got the biggest dick. It's called the Doom piece.
That's actually pretty solid. The Doom piece sounds badass.
Yeah, it's erect. It's erect.
Yeah, you got to watch out for the Doom piece.
Yeah.
He'll be slapping you down with that and you never get back up. So yeah, that it looks great. So much to like there's so much more to know about this, but I'm hyped. That looks fantastic.
Do we know when Fantastic Four is supposed to come out? Let me look at this real quick.
Yes, July 25th, I want to say next year. So they do not have a lot of time to get shooting and get this movie into post-production to make, but some of the best Marvel movies came out when they had a rush job, if you will. So
that's true.
It's gonna be great.
I mean, we got some good Marvel things coming up with Blade, Thunderbolts, Kang Dynasty, and also
X-Men
New World
97.
Order and X-Men 97.
So I think let's get into X-Men 97.
Let's get into X-Men 97.
Man, if you follow us on social media, and if you're not, you should. I went ham on some X-Men 97. Like I was like, I have to stop everything I'm doing. I'm focusing on creating some content around this. This is just, I'm more happy about this than anything that's happened this year. I will say that.
Well, what about Rogue's Booty?
I mean, Rogue's Booty aside, which is definitely, not a high point.
Ma chérie, come on.
Besides that, wow. You go ahead. You tell me, because I feel like I've said so much about this already. I'm really curious on your thoughts when you were a kid with this show. What did you think about this new trailer?
The trailer in itself it's fantastic. It's like when I found out that Dragon Ball was going to be continuing in Dragon Ball Super, where they're upping the animation, they're continuing on with the story, they're adding more. X-Men, the original animated series, was like kind of the epitome, along with like Batman the animated series, the things that you look forward to on a Saturday. Iconic. Right, and it introduced you to your favorite comic books, like essentially American anime, right? Because you're reading the comic books, you're seeing it live. I remember specifically when Cable was in the X-Men animated series, and I was reading it simultaneously, and you got to see these characters kind of come to life. It was something that if you're a 90s kid, like, you definitely have watched at any point in time. And for it to be coming back, great on the nostalgia feels, great on the building on it feels. And I think it is something that needs to kind of continue, much like Family Guy or Futurama or, The Simpsons. Like, X-Men, the animated series should be one of those things that carries on for the rest of time, because again, it is something that talks about social issues. It is something that kind of keeps in time with everything that's happening currently. So kudos to what they've done, and I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Well said. They keep finding ways to be socially relevant. It's so funny because the biggest thing going on, and I haven't seen too much of it, but there's a lot of people who have way bigger followings than we do that have been getting a lot of like, oh man, the new X-Men is so woke or whatever, or like, why are they getting so political? Like, I've been on that train with this podcast for the longest time saying like, this has always been an allegory for civil rights, equality. It's always been that. It's always been, why just because somebody looks different, do they not deserve the same things you do? Or do they deserve to be persecuted or whatever, right? And like, I've always been on that train. And I think now more than ever, we need a reminder of like, yeah, like just because that person doesn't quite look like you, doesn't mean that you should go talking shit or go hate on them. Like, I feel like that's a daily reminder, but it's done in such a great way. I went back and I watched the whole series. I think I said on social media, but I have recently. And like the things it was able to do was really ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Much like Avatar: The Last Airbender, which we're also getting into in a second, like they were able to bring in like mature content in a way that was palatable by Pal Worlds for kids. And like this it continues now. And I think it always stuck with me. It did. Like I always, not that I felt like the outside, but I always thought I can't treat people different because they look different or have different things. And I always wanted to be one of those people that had power. So I thought it was cool. And it was just, it was done really, really well back then. I hope that it will continue. There's some future stories going on here too. We see a moment like the whole squad got off the basketball court. Like it's, what is that? Like it's Top Gun or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're all like dressed up and stuff. Jean Grey is pregnant. I now do not think it's Jean Grey. I think it's Madeline Pryor. And if you know about the comics, Scott has a baby with Jean's clone, Madeline Pryor. And then, creates, I think Rachel Summers, or is it Nate Summers? Either way, one of the Summers kids. And yes, I think it's so good. Is there any characters that stand out to you in this trailer where you're like, oh shit, that I want to see? I can't wait to see more of this character.
I mean, my favorite X-Men character is Bobby Drake, the Iceman. I only want to see. I mean, I would like to see other people. I kind of want to see Jubilee, just because Jubilee in the original series was just like, look, I could do fireworks.
Yeah.
So hopefully they up that game a little bit, but Bobby Drake for sure, just because Iceman is Omega level immune. So I want to see what they end up doing, especially with the new technology and animation they'll be doing there.
Bro, Jubilee was so bad in the original. Yeah. Like, I mean, at the time, I had no problem with it. Obviously, I was 9 years old, but like 8 to 9 years old. But like, God, yeah, I rewatch it. It was cringy, man, back then. But I think they update her a lot. You talked about it in your House of Ninjas review. Again, go to social media. But like, she's actually being voiced by an Asian American actress, which I think is cool. So it's not going to be like super stereotypical Asian stuff. Not like I think she really was, but a lot of the voice acting cast is coming back. For the people who can't, some of them have passed away, or they've just like are not able to anymore. The voice changed too much. The iconic Bub is there. I love so much in this trailer that Cyclops is taking the lead. I think he gets so shit on online, and he's such a badass for me in the comics. For people, I think there's obviously times where he's not been that great, and there's obviously times when he's been evil and stuff. But in the latest comics I've been reading, in the Rise of the Krakoan era, dude, he's a badass. And every once in a while, that comic pops up of like Wolverine jumping up behind him and Cyclops like blasts this dude, clears out a forest, and Wolverine goes, it's times like these I remember why you're in charge. And it's just like, girl.
Well,
like,
you're pretty biased though. You've always been a Cyclops fan since X-Men has been.
I am, but I think I also like tend to lean towards those like leader type characters. In a way, like
Captain America.
Leonardo.
Yeah,
I didn't really like the Red Ranger. I liked like the Green Ranger, but he had my name, so like maybe that doesn't count either. But yeah, like I tend to like those characters. So you're right, but he is a beast, not the beast. But I think it's just good. I think this is gonna hit so hard. I can't wait to review this and watch this week in, week out because, oh God, it's exciting.
Well, before we move on to our next trailer, let's quickly go over Invincible Part 2 coming out March 14th. And then obviously we talked about The Last Airbender is coming out Thursday. Those are two things to think about as news. And that first-person Mandalorian game that Respawn is developing, you've played the Jedi games. Are you excited for this Mandalorian game? Do you think it's going to be worthy of your time?
I mean, I'm definitely going to check it out. I know Apex is a pretty big game studio. This sounds crazy. It's not like much kind of like you saying with Indiana Jones. You're like, yeah, kind of like, I guess I'm excited. It's kind of how I feel about it because I know we're getting a movie. I really like the shows. There's not been a point where I'm like, man, I really want to be Mando, but I'm not going to not play it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's going to be linear, much like the Jedi games, I think. I don't know that there's going to be that much open world things. There's probably going to be skins and things that you can get, armor upgrades, etc. Maybe you get to fuck around with Grogu a little bit, but
I think it's open world per planet. Like, that's how I would do it, but I think it's going to be single player, linear in that it's a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm looking for a Ubisoft open world Star Wars type game where
we're getting that.
Yeah. And I think that's what I want to see. And if this Mandalorian game is just going to be kind of like a compilation of the Mando that we've seen already, but you can play it, like, that seems pretty par. So
yeah. I mean, who knows? We could see shit we haven't seen before and be like, that's super dope. But I think for me, it's like, where does this story take place? Is this the story that leads up to the movie? Yeah. Is this Mando before he meets Grogu? Because if I had to do this, well, I mean, I guess you have to capitalize on Grogu. But if you didn't, what I would do is, or like, let's say that they couldn't do a prequel story for this upcoming movie. What I would do is Mando becoming Mando. So he leaves his tribe of Mandalorians, and now he goes out on his first mission solo, and he starts, piecing whatever armor he can. He starts learning how to use his pistol. He starts learning how to use the grappling hook. He starts learning all these things, and it like shows like how Mando truly became Mando. Yeah. That would be my pitch for the story.
Man, if that was the case, I'd tell Donald Glover to write that so it could be like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith but Mandalorian. I'd watch that.
How does those intersect?
I have no clue. I just feel like the writing that Miss S. Green and Donald Glover could have or put into like a Star Wars series would be very interesting.
Well, you're also in luck because he's doing a movie, I think, based on Lando Calrissian. Yeah, with his brother, and he's also supposed to, which his brother's his writing partner too. That also helped on Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Okay,
and so it's gonna be fire.
Yeah, dude. I'm looking forward to that. There's a lot of great content coming up, and there's a lot of like great writers and actors that are they're not blowing up, but they're honing their skill and they're leveling up. And I love to see that getting into the genres that we do love. Speaking of Marvel Civil War, we've got a movie called Civil War that has nothing to do with Marvel that's coming out.
I realize I also jumped the gun from like news right into trailers with X-Men.
You got excited about X-Men though.
I did. So I got so excited. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We can't blame you for being excited. You want to splooge in the Roach booty. The rogue booty. The rogue booty. The
Roge
booty.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. When I was a little kid and I would have to read it though, I would probably read it like Roge. Because like Rogue. I didn't know how to say words like
Rague.
that.
Like
Ragu?
Ragu.
And then I'd be like, oh, Rogue.
Grogu.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's all connected. But this movie Civil War is a A24 film. It's directed by Alex Garland, who directed a bunch of things like The Beach or the Danny Boyle films, or something that we both love, 28 Days Later.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
So Civil War is going to be interesting because it is kind of present in today's current social situation, where it does kind of seem like America is on the verge, potentially maybe on a civil war, and also to the intersections of our globalization and some of the tensions between countries and tensions between groups that people identify with, and also the polarity that the bipartisanness of our country as a whole. This should be a very interesting view. Hopefully it stems, or I guess gives kind of like a warning of like how bad things could get, and hopefully help us turn around and start loving on each other and jizzing all over each other's faces and stuff.
That's what's really going to bring us together.
Yeah, bukkake is what's going to bring us together.
Come together right now over
on my face.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Both work.
Both work. But A24 film, I think there was a trailer that came out originally, like a little teaser, and this trailer that came out in general. How are you liking the idea of Civil War, the premise of it, and the action? There's going to be action.
I think you hit the nail on the head on your description. It's like so many things. I think if you turn on any news, whether it's like a right or a left type of news, like it's so polarizing and it's so like damning to like the other side, right? And which I'm just gonna put out there in front of you. I think it's so stupid because like you can't determine someone's whole personality based on like which way they lean politically. I'm just gonna say that. Like you could tell a lot, but that doesn't say everything about the person. Doesn't say truly how they care about people. Doesn't say anything about how they do their job. That doesn't say anything how they care about their friends or their family. So with that being said, I think that this will be an interesting movie when it comes out, especially if it does well, because I'm curious how it's going to get picked up in the media and how people are going to respond to it.
Yeah.
And I hope it's in a good way.
Hopefully.
And I hope that people like it. And I hope that it is something for us to reflect on. But like, silliness aside, I really, am curious to see how people respond to this. Though there's only one part in this though that is very hard for me to believe, I will say.
Yeah.
And it's that Texas and California are the ones
working together. Yeah.
Yeah. The ones
no fucking way. Texas hates California, Doug.
True, but I also think California doesn't really like Texas.
True. Yeah.
And which is funny. That's super generally speaking. Like I did flight training in Texas. Everybody there, so many awesome people, loved it. Great vibes. Like, if you come with the right respect, aloha, like I don't think it changes anything. It's all about how you present. Also, again, like our perceptions, like, let's not go in assuming somebody's like something because they live somewhere or whatever, right? But anyways, but with that being said, it's still hard for me to believe that those are the two states teaming up. Yeah. But anyways, let's just run with it and say that is the case. Well, I'm on board. It looks pretty crazy.
For sure.
Kind of crazy.
At any point in time, I guess you could make the argument that because it's an A24 film, A24 hasn't really made a lot of shitty films in general. So at least you can hang your hat on that this production company is probably going to do its best. I mean,
what do you think about Spring Breakers?
Yeah, it's gonna be a real crazy. Well, I mean, it wasn't the best, but there's things to kind of be looking forward to, you know. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to Civil War. Just because military things in general, Valor kind of give me the feels. But another movie, or I guess show that's coming out, Borderlands.
Movie, right?
Yes. Written and directed by Eli Roth.
Yeah. Who was, you know him. You know him.
Yeah, I
know
know
him. Say who it is. Who is he?
He's the Bear Jew.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, that was sick.
From the Glorious Bastards. Yeah.
I did not realize this was one and the same. You blew my mind before we started recording, and you were like, "Oh, that guy. Is he the Bear Jew?" I'm like, "What?" And then we looked it up. I'm like, "Oh shit, it is." And he's directed a lot of semi-successful horror movies.
Thanksgiving, Death Wish,
the most successful.
Knock Knock, The Green Inferno, Hostel Part 2.
Hostel Part 1.
I think he was in Grinder House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Blumhouse is the one that does most of those horror ones. So yeah.
He did Cabin Fever as well too, back in the day.
That's crazy. I did not realize like he had those kind of chops. Plus he's like produced, plus he's written. So
yeah.
Borderlands, very video game accurate from what we've seen.
Yes.
I'm not the biggest person on the story and lore, but we did play it on this show.
Yes. last
year, I want to say. We weren't listening to the story too much because we were playing and like chatting, but it looks pretty good. Like it doesn't look like it's going to be groundbreaking. It's not The Last of Us. It's not maybe Sonic, but it looks fun.
Yeah, it definitely looks fun. It's almost on the air of like Twisted Metal, or what was that more recent video game show that came out, Halo?
Halo. Man, if it's better than Halo, it's doing a fantastic job.
But I mean, the cast in general is crazy. Cate Blanchett, Haley Bennett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black, Bobby Lee's in it. Bobby Lee doesn't do a lot of stuff.
Does more than you think, weirdly enough.
Yeah. Gina Gershon is in it. The cast in itself is really great. Borderlands as an IP is really fun.
Yeah, there's one actor, I don't know if you said, that makes me think it's going to be amazing. Oh? Did you say Ariana Greenblatt?
Yep.
You said that? Okay. Dude, she has been in more billion-dollar franchises than a lot of top-tier A-list actors.
Let's talk about it. She was in Barbie. She was in 65. She was in Ahsoka. She was in Infinity War.
Yep.
She's been in Boss Baby.
Look at all these. Okay, I don't know a Boss Baby, but like, look at all these bangers she's been in.
Yeah.
She's been in so many bangers. So like, some part of me feels like it could be good just because she's in it. But then again, I also said that about Madam Web, so I'm gonna eat crow this whole year. But I don't know. I just have a feeling it may be better than we think. It looked fun.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is also like we're recording this like the day before the full trailer comes out, so we're not gonna know. All of this could be wrong come tomorrow. Yeah. But from the teaser, it looks pretty cool. It wasn't like a lot of Kevin Hart, which could be a good thing or bad thing. I don't know. Usually, to me, right now, it feels like a good thing.
Yeah.
But I like Cate Blanchett, and I love Jack Black.
Yeah.
So all that's pretty good.
I definitely like the idea of Borderlands. I think with another what is that, Fallout's coming out as well too, another very heavy video game situation that's getting a live action.
Yeah, Borderlands or Fallout, what looks better to you?
Oh my god, I think in terms of just entertainment, Borderlands looks a little bit better, but potentially story, Fallout has a very deep story. I mean, Bethesda things has great stories.
Agreed.
that might be the case. They've got really great actors in Fallout as well too. So it may be the battle of the Badlands in this situation. Nice. Which one will do the best? I don't know, but we'll have to keep track on both of them and see which one is better than the other, and or if they're just equal if they're just equitable and equality and all that jazz.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you nailed it. I think Fallout to me looks like a deeper, more rich story, more in line with like The Last of Us, not as good, but almost as good.
Yeah.
And I feel like Borderlands is just like gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And just like crazy
Eli Roth, it's gonna be
and that kind of stuff. So I think you nailed it on that one.
Jack Black in like a gory situation just sounds fun too.
Yeah, because he hasn't really done anything like that since Tropic Thunder. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been following his like movieography or whatever they call it like as much, but I mean, that he's gonna be a riot, I think. Because I didn't see his character either. Is he like the robot?
I don't remember actually.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, I'm assuming we'll find out more tomorrow, right? Like we're gonna hear their voices.
Yeah.
I think the only person that we really hear their voice is Kate Blanchett.
Yeah, we love us a Kate Blanchett. I believe Claptrap is the robot situation is. Yeah,
nice pool. Yeah, I could see Jack Black taking that over because you get some funny lines in the game and all that. So
yeah, Jaku Blacku. Okay, well, that was it for our trailers. Definitely things for us to check out, things for us to be excited about. But now we get to the meat and potatoes of this show, which is our reviews. And we've got some great ones. Potentially an Emmy award-winning type situation with True Detective. Obviously, for sure, going to win an Emmy, potentially House of Ninjas. Do you want to start off with the #1 grossing movie of all time?
Did you say the #1 gross movie of all time?
Yeah.
Because it was so gross to watch. Yeah.
Well, why don't we get that out of the way? Why don't you tell us how sewage infested Madam Web was?
It was just sewage doo poo poo. Like
sewage doo poo poo caca. Caca pee poo shire.
Okay, so everybody saw the bad review. It was hard for me to come up with a review. It really was. And dude, okay, I already said it. We try to be positive. We try to
were there boobs?
Not shit. There's no boobs.
There's no boobs. Wow, I'm out.
I don't know if there could have been enough boobs to save this movie.
What?
Yeah, that's how crazy.
Right. Wow.
So, okay, we saw the trailer, right? I'm trying to think positive, blah, blah, blah. And then going in this week, I saw the reviews. Then I also saw, oh, wait, this movie is written by the writers who made Morbius. Oh, that's not a good sign.
Bloodsucker. Okay.
Oh, my gosh. They haven't had like a hit. These writers just keep failing up, which is, good for them. The first 10 minutes are like... They're just cringy. It's like, I wanted to say like High School Musical, but like honestly, High School Musical is less cringy.
Wow.
Like the dialogue is better. It's delivered better. This was just like a college video class movie dialogue. It was just so bad from the jump.
Wow.
One thing I didn't say in my review is like the main bad guy is so off and it's not sometimes scary, sometimes not at all. And then they do this thing where ADR, which is basically like they record lines into the movie, it straight up does not match the movement of his mouth. So the guy is like moving his mouth, right? And then the words don't match it at all. Like House of Ninja that you recommend or I'm about to get into, like the dub on that is almost just as good, which is a Japanese through and through show. This was terrible. It was,
wow.
Oh my God. So those things aside, you get to see there is Sydney Sweeney, there is Isabella Merced, there is, the last girl, I'm blanking on her name right now.
Dakota Johnson, Ariana Greenblatt.
Not Dakota Johnson. The last kind of Spider Woman in this scenario. Dang it, she was in the Ghostbusters movie Afterlife. She's fantastic. Anyways, while you look it up, you see them, and we know it's cool. Like, oh shoot, yeah, the Spider Woman, so dope. Julia Carpenter. You see them in their suits for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
In the whole movie. And like, I don't think that should be news, I guess, to anybody now, but it's just like, what? And Dakota Johnson, I swear, it seems like she got paid all of her money up front to do this movie. She like delivered lines like it was a read through. She was like, yeah, we should try to save them. Yeah, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, what are you doing? Oh man, it was
What was she doing?
Blowingly bad. Not much.
Wow.
Not much. Mind-blowingly bad. The God, shall let more like no people are gonna see this, right? People who are listening right now are not gonna see this, right? Do you want to know the spoiler for the end?
I mean, is it spoiling if it's already a terrible movie?
I mean, yes, because there's some terrible movies that are so terrible. This might fall into that territory where some movies are so bad they're kind of good, you know, where you're like, oh, that's kind of crazy, like the Meg for Scott.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the Meg's not a great movie.
It's not meant to be though. It's meant to be like an entertainment thing. Whereas Madame Web is supposed to take an IP and like, you know, women empowerment, Marvel situations, Sony on top of that too. Like, and you got a killer cast of like beautiful women who are, you know, new up and coming actresses, and yet you put out a stinker. Like what?
Okay, so it sounds like I'm good to go with the spoiler.
Yeah, go with the spoiler.
Okay, so did your power just go out?
Yeah, my light just went out. Hold on.
All right, we'll take a beat here. Oh, this is pretty fantastic podcasting with you just sitting in the dark. And I saw your glasses and it looked scary. It looked like you just died. So, all right.
Let there be light.
Dude, man, when that light went out, though, it was scary. So just the reflection in your glasses were there. Yeah. I thought you got Morbius or something, or like one of the Madame Web producers like snuck in and assassinated you or something. I don't know. Yeah, they flipped you with like terrible dialogue.
Oh my God.
So okay. So the final part of the movie, the ending, it all like they can't stop him. There's a element of this that could have been cool, which is like evil Spider-Man and these 4 women who one kind of has powers, but they don't have like super strength or anything, like have to stop this like Terminator like Spider-Man. But anyways, she starts like figuring out her precognition and they get to the firework factory and she like kind of like starts kind of beating him with like fireworks and stuff, which is very cartoony and kind of cheesy, but
sure. Okay.
She gets splashed into the water, like gets thrown into the water off the side, and like one of like the stray like fireworks or like metal thing like hits her in the eye. And like luckily 2 scenes ago she randomly taught the girls how to do CPR. So like one of the girls like fishes her out of the water and then they like use CPR on her and like saves her life and she like comes back and she's blind. And then they make this joke about Uncle Ben, who's like apparently her best friend. And Uncle Ben, and one of the girls is like, Uncle Ben was in the room and like Mary was like able to give birth to a baby boy. And she was like, oh, you know, he's an uncle, like all of the fun without the responsibility. And then Dakota Johnson goes, that's what he thinks. Knowing that her best friend is going to die and have to take over the responsibility for this kid. So there's that. So bad. Then it like fast forwards. She's now kind of resembles the Madame Web from the comics. She's in this like really crazy looking wheelchair and she has these like eye patch things that are like taped on her head full time. And she's just like wheeling around blind, like just around the room. And like looking outside of like a spider web shaped window. And then it like cuts and she's like delivering all like the worst cheesy dialogue in the worst comic looking suit ever. Oh God. And like they stand over on this building and all the girls are in their suits. And she apparently can like float and like use her aura to like web them and like float in air. Bro, I have not seen something that unironically terrible It just was fucking wild. Wild is what it is.
Yeah, I have no words for what you said just because I can't even like think about that and like
I almost didn't have words. I was like, how do I put this into a 1 minute video?
It doesn't make sense for Sony to have the IP and just like straight up chortle the bed.
Right? Like,
it doesn't make sense.
Right? Like, okay, you have awesome characters, right? Like, how many billions of dollars do you think Disney would pay to get all the rights to all these Spider-Man characters? So many billions, right?
Yeah, unless Sony is just trying to ruin the IP so that when Disney does get it back, like it would be so tough to do it again. But then that also doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't help anybody, and
because they're not making money.
Yeah, I mean, Sony doesn't really do movies as much anyway, so wasting your time and money on these, just what?
It's weird. Right.
Yeah.
Like it just like there's so many things about it. And I think we also have to note that the Into the Spider-Verse movies are really good and they're very successful. So it's like you have Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You make Spider-Man movies. Why can't they just say it's a different Spider-Man that we haven't seen? Why don't they just recast? If they can't have Tom Holland, people, if it's the right actor, will line up for Spider-Man.
Yeah,
we are going to have 2 different Batman in DC, and I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be cool with it. We're going to have a Robert Pattinson, and then we're going to have whichever Batman James Gunn cast for The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
Why they don't mention Spider-Man at all? They say Spider People and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you own the rights to Spider-Man. Say Spider-Man.
Yeah,
like, just like. I don't know.
Okay,
so weird, bro.
Was the costume design good?
For some of the girls, yeah. Okay. For every girl except for Madam Web.
Wow.
Which was comic accurate, but then again, nobody was like, oh man, I want to cosplay as Madam Web before the movie.
Yeah,
Probably now because it was so bad, but like nobody ever, there's maybe one person in the last 50. She's been out since the 80s. So whatever that is, last 30 years, almost 40 years.
Yeah.
Maybe one person ever.
And it's just because, so for example, you could do Spider-Man like you do Batman, because Spider-Man and Batman are relatively the same in terms of like DC MCU type situation.
Like level of status, right?
Yeah, level of status and like breadth of like availability, because Batman has a bunch of like Bat family people, Spider-Man has a bunch of Spider family people, and you could introduce those types of characters and styles of characters to be able to have that breadth and like focus on other aspects that can then refocus on the main thing. Was the sound good? Was the location setting good?
No. No. It just was all bad.
Wow. Was the lighting good?
You know, the only good thing in this movie, I mean,
the casting was not terrible.
They nailed it on the casting, except for Dakota Johnson. Again, if anybody's got recommendations on a good Dakota Johnson movie where she's good, send it my way. I'm genuinely curious. I do not think she's a good actress after this movie, because the last thing I saw her in was like 50 Shades, and I didn't think she was a good actress then.
I mean,
I also saw like there was like one that was like a Oscar level movie. Didn't even think she was good in that movie either. So maybe I don't like her. I think she looks good, but I don't know if she's a good actress. Was Adam Scott. Adam Scott was the only good thing. He seemed to know the assignment. He was having fun. Mike Epps was decent, but he's only in it for like a splash.
Emma Roberts
didn't do much at all. Didn't really have much to do. I think, it was Adam Scott. I'm gonna give it Adam Scott. It was like people were razzing Echo for the kind of like history of the character and how they worked that in. Man, those people should eat their words after watching this movie. Like, bro, it's crazy. So, anyways, I don't want to bash it. I don't want to keep going on too much. I kind of want people to see it and like let me know what they think.
Yeah.
If I'm being dramatic, maybe I am. That whatever, I'm trying to have fun, so F you. But like, it was a stinker.
For you, it wasn't the best, but it could potentially make or break somebody else's life. If they watch it and they enjoy that kind of situation, maybe, who knows, who cares? What?
Just like go in with your friends, like have a bunch of drinks. Maybe, I don't know, if it's legal in your state, go with like smoke a bunch of weed, go hit some joints, walk into this, and then just get ready to like laugh at the ridiculousness. Because the parts that are funny are not funny, and the parts that are supposed to be serious are hilarious.
Okay, cool. So it's just a contradictory type situation. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't we talk about something that was fucking awesome?
Let's do it.
House of a Ninja.
Yeah, you crushed it. Solid review again on social media. It's everywhere out there. It should be on YouTube as well. Yeah. Now, if not very shortly. But I guess my question is this. Okay, so I just started it.
Yeah.
Okay, no. I'll let you break it down really quick. You can give your like kind of brief synopsis, and then I have questions for you.
Okay. So, House of Ninja is essentially a family of ninjas that were once prominent and have then became domestic because there's not necessarily a threat. And they're trying to live their lives and quote unquote be normal. However, it's extremely difficult because once a ninja, always a ninja. And those skills are pretty much applicable anytime, anywhere. But you're also being restricted as a domestic type person, kind of like when you're a military person and you go to war and then you come back and you're just expected to not be, on the ball, right? And it's not the case because when you're at level 100, you kind of have to stay at a level 100. Once you dull yourself, you kind of lose yourself a little bit. Any losers, then all of a sudden, the ninja threat comes back, and they have to kind of re-engage, and they're a little bit rusty, and because they've been in that domestic mode, they're trying to figure out as a family, like, can we do this? Do we want to do this, etc. And then action ensues where they have to battle this the ninja clan that has come back, and the drama is the Tawada family, who are the descendants of Hattori Hanzo. Their eldest son, oldest brother, dies subsequently 6 years ago from when this takes place, and they believe him to be completely lost. And that plays big into the story later on, where the ending is very open. It for sure, probably if it gets greenlit, we'll have a season 2, much like Alice in Wonderland. Hopefully, better season 2, guys.
Yeah, Alice in Borderland.
Oh, Alice in Borderlands. But it just allows itself to kind of build on top of itself, and it was playful. It's fun. It's got anime type structure at the same point in time. It's still very culturally serious. There's this thing called the Ninja Management Bureau, which for sure doesn't exist, but
it totally does.
Yeah, it's cool and interesting. And that's kind of like the general synopsis of House of Ninjas.
That's pretty good. Yeah, it's funny. Like, you're so right. It seems to strike a lot of different balances because the action is like visceral and it's cool, but like it kind of like it feels pretty realistic, but also like hyperrealized. Like what you might see in like a kung fu movie. Like it's like John Wick. Like it's pretty good. Yeah. It's very good, right? Yeah. And then there is like the family drama, but then there's also like some silly moments in there too. I haven't finished it. You just talked about it. You just got me on the train. I'm one episode in, but I'm like, damn, okay, I get it. This is sick. Was there any of the characters particular that you really liked, or you're like, oh shit, like I hope they expand more on this character?
So I would make the argument that every character could have their own background story, and it would be interesting. Ooh. So the main character, Kento Kaku, who plays Haru Tawada, is the I think he's the middle child, I guess, the second oldest brother. He's kind of dark, mysterious. He's got some trauma from when his brother passed away. And he himself, you could make the argument, is the best out of all of them in terms of potential. And then you have Yosuke Eguchi, who plays Soichi Tawada, the mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like this very thin Japanese lady, but she's like super badass. You can see her stealing stuff, and she's very technical with her ninja skills, etc. And even the grandma, the oldest one, she still has a lot of skills, but she's super old. But she also has the history of the clan behind her as well. And Nagi, who is the sister, she's in college. She was the youngest at the time when their brother died, but her ninja skills are there, but they're not to the point where she's capable of defending herself ad nauseum and or being able to kill other human beings. Just because she's young, but she wasn't battle tested. She just knows, she just is a ninja, but she hasn't been battle tested per se. And then the youngest kid, I forget his name. I think it's Taki, maybe, or Riku.
Yeah.
Because he's coming into age as their domestic. He is not a ninja, and he hasn't learned any of the ninja things, the shinobi things, and so he feels like an outcast. And he at one point in time asks if he's adopted because he's so different from the rest of the family.
Right. Yeah. He asked them all. It's funny, like, none of them say, like, no, you're not adopted. They're like, why are you asking that? Oh, you're so silly. You know what I mean? Like, nobody says, like, no, you're not of course you're not adopted. They're all like, ah, ha, ha, idiot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't tell him anything. He's probably going to feel adopted. Well, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. There's something after episode 1 that tells him, but that's obviously where I'm at. But
yeah,
I just thought that part was funny.
Well, even the dad, there's a later on in, I think, episode 4 or 5, the dad, who is the one who's the most reluctant to start doing ninja things again because he lost his son, because he thought the threat was over and he just wants to be normal and live his life. Comes back into ninja mode and fucking like beasts. And so you have to think, if he's the dad of this ninja clan, and this ninja clan of like 3 people can defeat an entire clan of like hundreds of people, and he's the number one person in it, the dad of it, what kind of backstory does he have? What was his training like? How did he become that person? Man, the action only gets better. For sure.
Damn. All right. I'm so hyped. I think that's point 1. You know, like, if you're not super into Japanese culture and if you've never watched, you know, a dubbed show like this, is there 2 other things that you could say that would maybe hook people who are not necessarily interested in that stuff?
I would say from the aspect of like a family storytelling as well too. I think if you're a family type person or you're into kind of that drama, it is very much so that it's how does a family with a particular set of skills learn how to cope with not using those skills, but still feel like a family, even though they're the most quote unquote family when they're utilizing those skills.
Like, what brings them together that they haven't been able to use in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, because you could make the argument that they are a shinobi family, and what makes them a family is because they're all shinobi. And because they can't use their shinobi skills, because technically, as per the rules, they're not really allowed to use them outside of missions. How can we still be a family if we can't utilize the things that make us a family?
Right.
There's points in time where you're like, why don't they just communicate? If they communicated, these things wouldn't happen. Obviously, that helps drive the story as well too. But
age-old story.
Yeah,
plot.
but in this sense, it makes sense why they wouldn't talk to each other, because of Japanese culture, because of the shinobi culture, because of how they're trying to cope with what's happening, and they don't want to disappoint each other, and or dad, because dad's trying to be domestic the most. So it makes sense in this situation. It's not just randomly, I'm not talking to these people. All of it makes sense. And I think regardless of whether or not you're into Japanese culture or shinobi in general, you can take kind of these cues from their family dynamic and relate to them quite easily. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, extremely well put. That's cool. I can't wait to jump back into it after this. I really liked what I saw and how it starts. And
It's
yeah,
good.
I'm sold, man. So
did you like the music in it? I like the entry.
Yeah. I love that you highlighted that too in the other video. It's like kind of different than you would think.
Yeah.
Being like a Japanese show, because I would expect like more Japanese music, but at the same time, it's like, what is it like? Poppy rock, but like it's like 80s
it's like
poppy rock,
funky.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't watched it a lot, like I said, but yeah, I was like, oh shit, this is a vibe, like with this whole kind of scene that they're setting and everything. So it's like there's like a mystery. I know that it's gonna be there, and yet I'm just at the tip of the iceberg. And I don't know if you have a better segue, because I think that was my segue into getting into True Detective.
True Detective.
Yeah. Which takes place in Ennis, Alaska.
Oh, interesting. I did not know it took place in Alaska.
Yeah. And the whole Alaska kind of vibe. I mean, it's called Night Country because the whole season actually takes place where it's just night full time. So 24 hours a day, it's just night.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, and it takes place up until Christmas and then like shortly after Christmas. So around that time period, I guess it's just like night 24/7 in Alaska. And God, man, I really liked season 1. And it's been a long time since I've watched it, since it came out. I kind of forgot a lot of what happened in that season. And then I remember jumping into season 2 and not really liking it that much. I didn't watch season 3. And then something about this, I was like, shit, I'm getting into that. I'm going to watch season 4. And man, it starts off so damn good.
It bangs.
What's that?
It bangs? She bangs?
She bangs. Okay. She bangs. Oh, baby. And so there's this research facility in this like small town, Alaska. The only real kind of job you can get is somewhere in these mines, and the mines are pumping out like some type of oil or gas or something like that. And on the other side, there's like an indigenous group of people that's very much intertwined in all the characters' lives. Jodie Foster has a daughter with somebody who was a part of these indigenous people, some type of, I don't know if this is rude to say, but like Inuit, like some type of like Eskimo people. And there's a battle between the mine people and then the indigenous people, where the mine is providing jobs, but the indigenous people, like, they see how the mine is like destroying the water, destroying the land, like, you know, ruining people, like that kind of stuff. And so like there's this like subplot of like this boiling over. One night, one of the guys in the research facility though is like freaking out, and he's like is twitching out. Totally, it seems like he's losing his mind. He's acting like he's seen a ghost. And next thing you know, they're all the guys in the research lab, which I think there's like 6 or 7 of them, except for one person. They're all found naked outside the lab, frozen together in like a human cork circle, human Weird. Popsicle.
Wow.
Right. And then that's kind of where it starts.
Whoa.
So from there, we get Jodie Foster. She's kind of this tough, you know, like there's so much talk these days of like creating like badass women characters, right? Like, you know, like we got to have strong women and all that stuff. And like, I'm all for that when it is done well and strong. And this show, it is. Jodie Foster is a badass. She is tough. She doesn't take shit from people. But along with that, she doesn't get along with a lot of people. Like everybody who seems to be trying to get closer with her, she pushes away. And she's kind of like part 1 of the detective group. On the other side is a newcomer, Agent Navarro, and I say newcomer because I think this is her second or third thing she's ever been a part of in like film.
Mhm.
She did like a small movie. She did like another movie or show where she kind of did good. And then it was like, boom, you're like equal Jodie Foster. And
Wow.
in real life, I think Kyle Reese was like a world champion boxer and all this stuff. And she is a beast. She like, I swear, this chick would probably knock out half the dudes in the US. I stand by that. She's a badass in the show too. And what she's able to do with her emotions and everything. And also, she knows she's indigenous. So much talent from this like up and comer. I want to see so much more from her in the future because I was just really, really impressed with her acting. And them together, their dynamic is fucking incredible. Like they were partners long ago, and then they went out on, like they got sent to investigate something or on a call, and then all you know is like it didn't go very well, and then they weren't friends ever since, and it forced Agent Navarro to like go to a different type of police unit in Alaska, and they're just not close. And the story just gets crazier. You know, you're trying to figure out who killed everybody. Two, they also like there's like mysticism a part of it. Man, it gives me faith that they could do a true detective style show with HBO quality filmmaking, storytelling, acting in Hawaii, and like bring some of this there with the
Obake
lore.
Files. Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah. Oh God. But it was just okay. So imagine that, right? But there's these parts of the lore that's attached to these people, and it just plays so well. So sometimes, and it's this way a lot. You're like, is this really happening? Are they going crazy? But yeah, or is this spirits? And the way it interweaves all of these things mixed together in this pot is just phenomenal. So for me right now, this is the show to beat. This is God. There's characters you hate, but I love that I hate them because it's done so well, and it's just so satisfying in the end. And the questions you want answered do get answered, but there's other questions at the end that are it leaves it open ended, and you're like, fuck, that's so interesting. I want to know what the answers are to that, and I don't think they're ever going to give it to us.
Which is a sign of great writing in general. True Detective has been one of those shows that can give you a lot of mystery, a lot of like what Sherlock does, but Sherlock does it in a more like fanciful type way, whereas True Detective does it in like a dark mystery, narrative, dark, or I'm said dark already, but dialogue heavy type situation.
Dark, definitely dark,
super dark. Yeah,
super
it's,
dark.
It's nighttime
dark.
majority of the times. But I like it. I like it. Like American Horror Story style. It's not an anthology, right? But it definitely takes on new characters, new design, new setting, and I'm pretty sure every season has done pretty well over the course of.
Yeah, definitely. Or they wouldn't like. I don't think they would have kept making these. But it is interesting you said that because you're right. Like every season, it seems like it's like a new detective or detectives, new place, new scenarios. Like doesn't seem to be connected. Well, this is the first season where something was connected, and I can't take credit for this. I didn't know anything about this, but because I was like, maybe somebody out there like knows the answer as to like why these questions, and I don't really want to spoil it because like if you haven't watched it, I do want you to check it out because I think one, Drake, you're gonna love it, but I think there's a lot of people that will really dig it. But two, I just like wanted to know if there was any predictions, and it turns out there is a ton of connections in this season to season one with Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey from the cult like symbols that they start seeing everywhere to certain characters that get referenced and in season one that are now mentioned, or like there's other parts of their story that are then referenced or talked about in this show. that also progresses this story. So it's really crazy. And there's some higher level shit where it's like, you like you said, Sherlock Holmes I think is a great example because it is a great mystery. It's amazing how he comes up with solving the mystery, but it can be a little bit over the top and fanciful, and like you're like, wow, this is the most imaginative way, right? This feels real. It feels gritty. It's them bringing in DNA analyst. It's them, trying to get jurisdiction. It's them, hunting down different people that may have answers to the whereabouts of this one person. So there's a lot of like realness and grittiness to it, mixed in with a lot of trauma that these characters are feeling. And is that affecting the way that they're perceiving things and also perceiving things in the case? So, man,
it's like psychological, anthropological, mystery, murder.
Yeah, like mystical too.
Yeah.
And it, there's just like anytime I see things that reminds me, that has like indigenous lore, it always kind of reminds me of like Hawaii, like growing up in Hawaii. You know what I mean? Like there's so much there, like from like, separate gods or separate beliefs, or like how the system used to work, or like the caste system would work, right? And I think this does such a good job of that. There's a pretty strong matriarchal theme in this show, and powerful women, like if the pinnacle for me lately in terms of like women empowerment in terms of like movies and shows would have to be Blue Eye Samurai. This, I'm trying to think of what and like I guess at like a lower tier than those two would be like Ahsoka. So like those shows right now, I'm like, damn, like take what these shows are doing, or movies or whatever are doing well. I guess they're all shows. Like take what they're doing well and like translate that to the Marvels, or translate that to Madam Web, that kind of stuff. But man, it was so good from start to end, at least in my opinion. And it like blows me away that we're probably not going to get a follow-up with these characters, because I want to see these characters again interact. Fun fact too, what do they call it? Like the corksicle? Human sickle? I don't know why I can't think of the word, whatever it is. That meshing, or like those bodies connected, was actually helped created by Guillermo del Toro. yeah, exactly. So yeah, if you want to see that, I don't know if that's a selling point for a lot of people, but dude, it is creepy, and God, it is worth it. Enjoy the ride. It's one of those shows you're like, man, I wish I could experience that for the first time again. So yeah, I don't know, we went a little long in the tooth tonight, but I loved the hell out of most of the stuff we talked about. I even love talking about the things I hated. So this was a great one. Absolutely. Dune Part 2 as well. Yeah. Well, I'm going to see how many popcorn buckets we can get. We're going to have to do something with that for sure. Yeah. All right, man. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Follow us on the socials so you keep up to date with everything that we have going on outside of the normal podcast, and to look at the best bits from each episode. Please share this with friends and family. We'd love to grow, and we can't do that without your help. All right. Have a great rest of your week, and thanks for sticking it with us.
The Joystick Show.
If you've enjoyed what you've been listening to, we'd really appreciate a follow, subscribe, and a review. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us at JoyStickShow, Joystick Show on Twitter and Instagram, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you feel like submitting topics or questions to be discussed on future episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. As always, thank you, peace out, and make it a great rest of your week.